Dean, I know you a strong voice within the black community, within our community, if excuse my word black, but yes, within our community, I know you're a strong voice, and I follow you quite very often. And in terms of empowering patient, and how would you say it is how important it is, or is it, for us to have an inclusive healthcare system that then compromises of everybody without any bias?
I think the first thing that needs to be recognized is the visionary nature of John Kamara and the fact that he's not just a visionary but a custodian, because only a custodian mind would come up with something like this to protect our sovereignty. So if we're in an era where capitalism says data is the new gold, it's about exploitation. Absolutely. Now we're dealing with human beings, so it can't be about exploitation, can it? Mm-hmm. So when we bring it back to the sovereignty, I want confidence in the confidentiality of my records. When we talk about being able to use it anywhere, if I get hit by a car in the States, I want them to have access to all of my medical records, to have that understanding. It's about me being in charge of my data because it serves me. It shouldn't serve a company to be able to sell my records, to sell my data, to sell my history, any more than they can sell my DNA. So when we talk about the adoption, it's twofold. We as people, it's within our interest to adopt it. If you agree with it in principle, agree, adopt, apply. Download the app, because there's nothing that says that you have to go into it right now. Download it today, download it right now for that reason.
Absolutely.
And when it comes to the NHS, public spend in this country is 249 billion for contracting services and goods. Central government spend is 49 billion for contracting services and goods. 10% of that 298 billion, let's say 28 billion, has been ring-fenced for so-called black, where I like to clarify African and African Caribbean lead organizations and companies for contracting services, and other ethnic minorities. So all within the case of Afya, we have to find out is what would be our portion of that 28 billion in working with the NHS to get a contract with the NHS as a case study to then further roll out. So wherever that starts as a case study, it will be going through a contract through the Treasury, which is a commercial contract for the adoption in the NHS, because it's beneficial to the people and it deals with sovereignty. Now what you're up against is the US companies where data is gold. Absolutely. So when it comes to consumers, we're speaking to the heart, right? Not to the head.
Yeah.
And it becomes about the importance of what's going to benefit me, as opposed to the government who committed a 22 billion bank robbery during the PPP with Etonian peers, and what is going to benefit me as a patient. So then now we're competing with parity. And as I said from the beginning, this small African startup is competing with absolute parity with all of those US and British companies. And let me just say this. What Afya Rekod actually managed to do was track during COVID what a 22 million UK pounds sterling app, which was abandoned, couldn't. Let that sink in.
Wow.
Now I know 22 million has not been invested in Afya app, which goes much further in its application. Just think about that. A 22 million investment from central government to the NHS was abandoned because it was useless.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much, Dave.